Well, it's a glorious day out on Exmoor, Tom.
Depending on how you look at things.
Well, it's pretty atmospheric.
Very much so.
Why have we come out here on this freezing day? What are we up to?
A couple of years ago, it became apparent that the game meat industry might be facing some supply and demand issues.
Yeah.
And this led to the establishment of the British Game Alliance, who set out a code of good shooting practice and good game meat handling practice. And we've come to one of the most forward-thinking shoots in the country.
So we're going to see how it's done properly.
Exactly that.
When it comes to the shoot day, we promote traditional sporting atmosphere centred on enjoyment amongst our guests and ultimately respect for the quarry. Principles are simple. Give the growing birds what they need in the very best environment possible.
It's so important to have a decent picking up team, isn't it?
It is, it's very true. We've got 10 to 12 pickers up today, each with 2 to 4 dogs of various sizes. And it's not just the ones you see behind the gun line, it's the ones right at the top that are probably more important than anything else we do.
And the dogs just love it, don't they?
Well, they do.
So excited.
They're really energetic and they love what they do, almost as much as their owners. At the end of every drive, all the shot birds graded and hung on the game rack in the field. We have a chick-to-chiller traceability programme, which is why the simple tagging system is so vital. The British Game Alliance, the Countryside Alliance, doing a fantastic work to promote the correct handling of game to ensure there is a firm future on our plate.
Great morning out on the moors.
Yeah, we're going to do a risotto with some Jerusalem artichokes pureed up, give it a real rich, creamy nuttiness.
Nice.
And then pheasant cobbler. Both of these recipes are based on poached pheasant. It's a really great thing to do with frozen birds you might have sitting in the freezer after for the season. Pop them in a pan, top it up with water, bit of stock veg, carrot, fennel, celery, onion, and let it simmer away about 25 minutes. Fry off your pancetta, get a little toasty brown colour on it, let the fat render out of it. Then add your cubed diced veg, fennel and your carrot and your onion. The pancetta and the veg is sweated away nicely for about 15 minutes, softened up. I'm just going to add about 65 grams of flour. I want to just cook off, make sure it's not giving that raw flour taste. 2 or 3 minutes, then you can add your Madeira. Let the alcohol boil off, and then we're going in with that wonderful pheasant stock. And that pheasant stock is a really deep, rich flavour, and that's going to give body to both of the dishes that we've been cooking today. You want to add a little bit of cream, just an extra element of richness, really. Let's add the shredded pheasant.
I guess the poaching is a really good way to keep the meat moist as well and stop it from drying out.
The best thing about the poaching method is it doesn't matter whether you've got your pheasants fresh, like we have today, or whether you've pulled them out of the freezer a couple of months after the season. It's going to keep the flesh really succulent and juicy. And then it's time to make the cobbler topping, which is essentially a savoury scone. So just a really simple process of rubbing in butter into flour, just with your fingers, and then mixing in a little bit of mustard, some chopped up tarragon, a bit of seasoning, salt and pepper. So once you've added your milk into the dough, just mix it up until you form a fairly loosely wet dough. Put it out onto the surface, press it down, about 1.5 inches thick, cut it out with a pastry cutter. Place those essentially scones onto your delicious pheasant mix in a little semicircle, fill the other side, pop it in the oven. The cobbler's baking away nicely in the oven, so on to the risotto. Make the puree with the artichokes, boil those down, puree them off, add some butter and cream, chop up the mirepoix vegetables, green vegetables, we saute them off. And then we added a little bit of risotto rice. And then the next thing to do after you've toasted the rice is add the wine. Add the stock, just continually stirring, you want to build the gluten in the rice. 30 minutes later, the rice is just cooked, add the Jerusalem artichoke puree. That's going to give that real creaminess to the risotto. All you've got to do after that is add the shredded pheasant to give that light, gamey flavour, to match the richness of that wonderful risotto. Bit of parmesan, Stir it all in together, let it sit for 2 or 3 minutes, and then you're ready to go.
On paper, this really looked like a white wine dish to me, but quite rich, so you need something with a bit of freshness that's going to cut through. So I've chosen a South African Chenin Blanc. This one from Swartland has a really nice richness to it, which I think will stand up to the richness of the dish, as is very much the personality of Chenin Blanc. It really holds its acidity even in quite a warm environment, so you've got a nice freshness to cut through. Well, we better tuck into this, I think, Tom.
Those artichokes, all background nuttiness and the walnuts, and then the gaminess of the pheasant. Just light gaminess.
Absolutely,
Delicious.
I mean, when you've got pheasant cooked like this, it's almost like chicken.
Exactly. Why would you use chicken when you've got something more flavour?
No one could not like that.
Correct.
Let's see how it goes with the wine.
Acidity cuts through all that richness, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So now we've got the cobbler, absolute classic, old school British dish. And I do like it when I've got 2 red wines to go with my dish. So what have we got?
Well, I couldn't quite make a choice, as you can see.
I do.
This is my split personality coming through. A bit like the risotto, you could easily match a rich white wine with this dish. It would work really, really well. But it's a chilly day and we want something a bit heartier, so we've got 2 reds, albeit they're on the lighter end of the spectrum, so they won't overwhelm the dish. In your left-hand glass, we've got the Di Martino Pinot Noir from Chile, from the Limari Valley. It's got all of the sort of elegance that you expect from Pinot Noir, but it's just got that kind of little bit of New World lift to it.
Let's give it a go with this, shall we? Amazing how it seems to bring out the smokiness in that too.
Yeah, and also brings out a sort of herbal element.
Yeah,
I think,
very much.
tying in a bit with the tarragon. And I think moving on to the Chianti, you really see that, I think, in the Chianti, this kind of herbal note on the nose. There's that sort of classic thyme and rosemary personality that comes through, a bit of that crunchy cherry again. I really can't recommend enough that people try this plate of food because it is so delicious.
That's very kind of you. Just the thing for a freezing, beastly Exmoor day.
Absolutely. Delicious.